All right, boom. Welcome into Sportsbit. Betting Insight today, Pauly and Teddy, Wednesday, August 8th. Big game breakdown. We'll get to a couple NFL preseason games with some juicy tidbits and quarterback battles. We'll attack a couple of those with 12 games on Thursday, so we got to go early. Also get to Rob Vino again. We'll talk about the Big Ten. In my opinion, the best conference in college football yet again. Big Ten East is loaded. Play of the day before we get out of here. All the betting news you need in less than 20 minutes. I'm at Real Sportsbet on Twitter. He's at Teddy_Covers. Love the crew, everyone here at SBR, and it is Sportsbet. Let's rock and roll. We came back from vacation August 1st. Bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books. Couple tough beats. The Orioles plus $1.50. The Cobb finally pitches well for the Orioles. They led 3-1 in the eighth. The bullpen blows it, and the Rays get the win 4-3. The Orioles file this away. You know, they're bad to begin with 79 losses. They're now 0-13 after a day off.
Yeah, so Baltimore was a team I kind of had my eye on as a potential bet on, not a strong bet on squad, but a potential moneymaker over the back half of the campaign. They came out of the All-Star break. They showed a little bit of life. Some of the player quotes after they dealt all that veteran talent were, hey, we're feeling pretty good about ourselves. Everyone got playing time now. The momentum was there. They went to Texas, got slapped around yesterday. Yeah. More of the same. Whatever brief ray of hope there was for Baltimore appears to have been extinguished rather quickly. Another tough beat for Orioles backers last night. There aren't many Orioles backers anymore.
Giants bullpen blew it for the second straight day. They were $1.03, bet up to 110, led 1-0 in the eighth. Bullpen blows it, as I mentioned. They lose 2-1. The Astros are 41-18 on the road.
Yeah, despite the fact that Houston is as injury-riddled a squad as you're going to find among contenders right now. Astros are finding a way to win. Giants find a way to lose. Something like the Blue Jays tried to do last night as well.
Well, I didn't get this. I guess it was anti-Pomerantz, but Jesus, the Red Sox are winning almost every night, and they own the Blue Jays. The money, it started early in the day and continued all throughout the day. But bad beats with Blue Jays, and the under was a vicious beat. But the Blue Jays took money and went off the favorite, but also plus 1.5, minus 145. It's 5-4 in the bottom of the ninth, and Smoke hits a home run to tie it off Kimbrel. And then the Red Sox are up for a 5 spot in the 10th. It was 3-1 in the eighth inning. You're feeling good under 9.5. Then all hell breaks loose. 10-7 Red Sox, going back to why I couldn't understand the Blue Jays money. Boston is 11-3 this year against the Jays, 16-4 their last 20 in Toronto, and 24-9 the last 2 seasons.
And that is your absolute worst case scenario as a bettor. You have plus 1.5 in your pocket. You're down by 1. Everything's fine. Let the game end. Nope, The game tying home run. Oh, and then they score 5 in extras. Yeah, that's brutal. For Toronto, plus the 1.5. No question. Your worst case scenario is the game tying dinger.
Yeah, under's horrible as well. Bad bets. The Nats, game 2 of a doubleheader. You blindly bet a team in game 2 of a doubleheader. They're 21-4 run, as it's very hard to sweep a doubleheader. Nats $2 up to 230, and the over 7.5 up to 8. It worked out, giving Newcomb that extra rest. He pitched well after almost a no-hitter against the Dodgers. Braves get the split win 3-1.
Sure. And, of course, that's not all for the bad bets. The Mets took a bunch of money yesterday, even up to minus 135. They lost 6-1, another lifeless performance from New York. Toronto took money yesterday. That certainly wasn't our right side in the end. No. And, of course, when it comes to bad for the books, Yankees cash again, take money again. Colorado, Pittsburgh over, 10.5 up to 11, 10-2 final. That was 10-0 by the top of the fifth. The bettors got that one right. The books took a beating as a result.
We won't mention the book's name because it gets a bad rating, an SBR. But Urban Meyer, will he be fired or resign as head coach in 2018? Now with the latest news in the committee that was supposed to be independent, and they got Ohio State trustees on that sucker. Yes is 6-1 now. It looks like he could keep his job. At least that's what this book is saying. How do you know? What? Give me a couple of reasons why it has a poor rating.
Issues with payouts. I mean, the number one issue, this was formerly a top-rated book that had issues with payouts in recent years. So, Being that this is a show sponsored by sportsreview.com, being that we encourage you to look at the ratings from sportsreview.com, where clearly, if it's a D-rated book, this is for entertainment purposes only. You want to get a couple of bucks down, you can. But the line itself to me was really interesting because just a couple of days ago, will Meyer be the coach in 2019 was minus 300 to plus 240. Now, with Meyer fire be head coach, minus 1,500 on the no. They think he's going to stay. But also, I liked the total games where he's going to see suspended. Over under 4.5 games suspended for Urban Meyer. I thought it was an interesting prop to talk about.
Well, I'll tell you, that's interesting because if it goes over and it's minus 150, he would miss the TCU and the Penn State game.
Those are big games, but the bottom line is there will be consequences for Urban Meyer. At this point, it doesn't look like they're going to be job-losing consequences for the Ohio State head coach.
All right, Sports Bet, Betting Insight today, Pauly and Teddy, SBR. All the betting news you need to know in less than 20 minutes. Big game breakdown, NFL quick hitters. We'll do more of these tomorrow as we got 12 games. Carolina and Buffalo, Bills 2.5, 33.5 the total. We got a quarterback controversy. I talked to my Buffalo contact the other day. I said, who's going to be the starter week 1? He said, good question. I don't know. But you got Peterman, McCarron, and Josh Allen. And then you got Carolina, they're set. But what do you think of this one, Teddy? What are you reading so far of this matchup?
So the Bills have a legit QB battle for the number 1 spot. However, Josh Allen doesn't look like he's even going to be in the mix. It's going to be A.J. McCarron versus Nathan Peterman. Now, we like quarterback battles in the preseason. Corey Coleman might go. The quote from head coach Sean McDermott, we'll see. We're still talking through that again because he just got here. We're going to get him acclimated and take it one day at a time right now. But you love the QB battles for Buffalo, and that's why the Bills have taken money. This game opened -1. Now we're -2.5 with juice. -3's already starting to pop up. But when it comes to the Carolina Panthers, let's not forget their end of the equation, because while Buffalo has competition for the starting job, where do you want the competitions to win in preseason? The backup job, and that's exactly what we're looking at in Carolina. They've had Derek Anderson forever as the backup. Not this year. This year, Garrett Gilbert and Taylor Heineke are going to be battling for that backup QB job. Ron Rivera, I'm really curious to watch them and see how they both do. I really am. We're going to try to get those guys as many snaps as we can the next few weeks so we can make a good decision. That's a factor. Who's going to be in a QB competition in the second half? Carolina, yet it's Buffalo that's taking all the money.
Yep. And also, Sean McDermott went 3-1 ATS in the preseason last year. My contact also said Buffalo will be an under team this year, bad on offense and a solid defense. How about what do you have on Carolina week 1, though, preseason trends?
Yeah, here's your little trend. Nobody's talking about it. Carolina week 1 of the NFL preseason, they've gone over the total every year since 2012. We don't think of the Panthers an over team, but they have been on this particular week. And they've got a backup QB battle, and the Bills have a QB battle as well. Surprise, this over hasn't taken any steam yet.
One of the late games tomorrow, 49ers and the Cowboys. 49ers are 3.5 at home, 35 the total. Cowboys have been horrendous in preseason lately. Shanahan went 3-1 ATS last year.
Yeah, I mean, the Cowboys, we talk about cluster injuries in our NFL preseason preview. The Cowboys have issues at wide receiver right now. No question about it. They had a rebuilt receiving core coming into the campaign, and they've had some injuries in camp. It is likely to affect their ability to throw the football downfield tomorrow night. You compare that with the quotes we're getting out of San Fran, and I put a couple of quotes, a couple of tweets here. First, head coach Kyle Shanahan announces Garoppolo and the first team will play at least one series on Thursday night. That means they're going to be in there till they score. If they go 3 and out, they'll go back out, and they go 3 and out again, they'll go out a third time. One would think. They want points out of that first-string offense, and we're not hearing anything out of the Dallas. Second tweet, 49ers finished with Tuesday practice. They're now set. He said starters will play a little bit with that one, and some of the young guys might play a little longer, depending on opening drives. Goes fairly standard. But here's the third one, Matt Mayako. Kyle Shanahan. Oh, that's not the one I wanted. Darn it. The fourth one. from Nick Wagner also. You could tell the 49ers wanted to get their backup some extra work in today's practice in advance of the game. Third string offense got a lot of reps near the end of today's practice. What do we talk about from these games? Who's going to be who's going to be scoring points in the second half? Who's interested in the second half? San Fran doing stuff in practice with their third stringers that's saying, hey, this team might be a bet on squad after halftime of week one. You can understand why the Niners are one of the few teams to be laying more than a field goal in their week one preseason matchup.
And the keep it quiet trend, Dallas 0-5 straight up in ATS last 5 week ones. And the one time they won it, last time they won 2012 was 3-0. The margins 2, 20, 10, 4, and 3. Back to college football. Big Ten, Robbie Vino. Teddy, take it away.
Absolutely. Rob Vino coming in. Let's see if we get my camera to work. How are we doing there? There we go. Hey, Rob Vino, how are you today? Let's get
Good morning, TC.
We did a great job yesterday talking SEC football. Now today we're going to talk Big Ten, and we got to start with Urban Meyer and Ohio State. I know we have just a few minutes, but we haven't seen the markets move on the Buckeyes as a team a whole lot yet. Do you think the controversy surrounding Meyer is going to affect the Ohio State Buckeyes? And if so, how much?
I wouldn't be so sure that it does, Teddy. I don't know that it bothers the kids that much. Coaches within the staff get elevated. Ryan Day is the offensive coordinator. He's surrounded by top-notch coaches on either side of him, Kevin Wilson, Greg Schiano. I don't think that if Meyer isn't present, that things will get away from Ohio State because they're so deeply talented. But we'll see. That's just my opinion. I don't think that it'll affect the kids that much. If anything, I think they'll play with an extra chip on their shoulder. That's usually how young people tend to take these situations on, add that chip to their shoulder.
So Ohio State, not a team to downgrade in your power rankings, despite the coach controversy, according to Rob Vino. And Vino, you're so good at this stuff. Let's talk Big Ten. How about Maryland, a team you have spotlighted as an over squad, a team with an offense that might be pretty good with Matt Canada in his first year coming over from LSU as the offensive coordinator, and a defense that looks more than a little bit spotty.
Yeah, I mean, let's start just with the quarterback health, Teddy. It seems like forever that Maryland's had quarterbacks go down to their fourth string, down to their fifth string. But this year, both of their top guys are back. Kasim Hill and Tyrell Pigram, both guys out by week 3 last season, both ready to roll this year. They have explosiveness at all the skilled positions. Your running back Ty Johnson averaged 6.5 yards per carry last year. Trio of playmakers at wide receiver. How about 4 redshirt senior offensive linemen plus a junior that have 105 total career starts amongst them? Solid offensive line for Maryland this year. And we'll get to Matt Canada. He's going to play with more controlled tempo. That would immediately lead you to believe that maybe Maryland stays under their game totals. However, when you look at the fact that they only ran 66.5 plays per game last year, which was 109th in the nation, due, of course, to the quarterback injuries, and they still scored 24 points per game in that limited time on the field, only averaged 323 yards. I expect all those numbers to be bumped here. Canada, of course, famous for those multitude of formations and pre-snap movements that the Big Ten defenses are going to have to figure out. And he's going to incorporate the tight end into the passing game this time around. So I think the offense has a lot going for it. I would boost that 24 up as high as maybe 31, 32 per game this year. That defense you talked about, it's improved, but the depth is thin and it's young. They've got a solid upper class first unit. But behind that, it's just loaded with inexperience. Lots of redshirt freshmen, true freshmen. I would say that when you only have one deep, fatigue and attrition could set in by the back third of the season. 3 of their final 4 games, they play 3 of the best offenses in the Big Ten: Michigan State, Ohio State, and Penn State. This might be the most important factor, Teddy. Let's look at their 2017 totals margins. They're a 9-3 over team last year, believe it or not. 7 of those overs exceeded the total by more than 7 points, 6 by double digits. The other 2 games went over the total by 5.5 and 1.5. Odds makers were way off on this team where totals are concerned. With that big of a gap, I think we still have plenty of value to play this team over this year. I think Maryland's a good bet for game totals over this season.
We've got just a few minutes left with Rob Vino from Rob Vino Sports. Two more teams we want to talk about and highlight from the Big Ten today, Rob. So let's start with Nebraska. Scott Frost, the big hire from UCF, 13-0 last year. But you say the turnaround for the Cornhuskers is going to take some time. Nebraska, not a bet-on team for 2018.
Yeah, the bandwagon might be rolling too fast. The odds makers might be moving too fast. Their total is 6.5 with a little bit of juice toward the over, Teddy. I can't find a clear path to 7 for this team. I think that the half holds a significant edge for bettors to go ahead and play this team under the total. At quarterback, they're going to start a freshman, whether it be highly touted dual threat Adrian Martinez, who's a true, or whether it be Tristan Gebbia, more of a pro-style quarterback. He's redshirt. I'd like to see if Martinez, if he gets to be the starter here, if he can withstand all the hits he's going to take inside that Big Ten conference and Scott Frost's new style offense that he's brought to Nebraska, and how will it affect his passing accuracy? The quarterback runs a lot in Frost's offense. I'd like to see how Martinez handles that. Could be injury prone. He's a big kid, but he may get hurt. This team has to face at Michigan, at Wisconsin, at Northwestern, at Ohio State, at Iowa, and home to Michigan State. Not only are those likely to be 6 of the top 25 defenses in the country with nasty defensive fronts, but those are likely to be 6 losses. If Nebraska doesn't upset one of those teams, they're not going to make it over 6.5. There's no guarantee they're going to sweep the board at home. Can they beat Colorado, Troy, Purdue, and Minnesota? They lost to Minnesota by 33 last year. I'm not so sure they can get the 6.5 here. Their talent in the trenches, both sides, not up to Big Ten standards, despite praise from their defensive coordinator, Eric Shenander, about how the D-backs have improved so far in August camp. He still says they're a long way away from being where they want to be. And because of the extreme tempo that Scott Frost plays, how about these numbers, Teddy? Scott Frost's teams, where he was the offensive coordinator or the head coach since 2013, have averaged 78.2 snaps per game on the defensive side. The defense is facing 78 plays per game. By comparison, under Mike Riley, this defense only faced 67 snaps per game last year. That's a difference of 11. I think the speed of the offense hurts the defense. I don't know how they get to 6.5. I'd play them under that total.
All right, Rob, we're out of time, so we're going to have to save the Purdue under analysis for next time. Give me 15 seconds on why Purdue's going to stink this year.
Real quick, Purdue probably stinks this year because of Jeff Brom's honesty. Well, he's the coach who told us last year his defense was better than people think they were. This year, he tells us his offense is still far from being, cohesive in his system. I don't think they'll be good. They only returned 4 on defense. The defense was the stalwart last year. Teams are probably used to that now. I think Purdue probably, it's a real tough schedule, Teddy. There's a bunch of other reasons, but I think they're going to be a good fade this year.
Purdue, a fade team, along with Nebraska, Maryland over the total. Rob Vino, thank you so much for taking time to break down the SEC and the Big Ten. Hopefully we'll get a chance to do ACC, Pac-12, and Big 12 with you next week and beyond.
Always a pleasure, TC.
All right, very good. Excellent. We'll talk to you next week. NFL Thursday and Friday. Big schedule coming up. I hope you watch Hard Knocks yesterday on HBO. Baker Mayfield's supposed to play 2 quarters tomorrow as they take on the Giants on NFL Network. Back to Money Time, play of the day, and staying with Purdue. One of the most underrated coaches in college football, Pat Fitzgerald. Northwestern won 10 games last year. And Thursday, August 30th, they start the season on ESPN. They're catching 3.5 at Purdue. We'll take Northwestern plus the points in that one, as Rob is down on Purdue, and we like Northwestern and Fitzgerald a lot. We'll go with that one. Play of the day, Thursday. Good game, August 30th to start the season. All right, very good. Back tomorrow. Fun week here. Football underway. PGA Championship. Fade Tiger Woods in these matchups. I think he's going to struggle in the final major here. Rory, Justin Thomas head-to-head. I think those are good bets at $1.30 and $1.40, and maybe throw some pizza money on Rory to win and Bubba Watson as well. Low Shack in the Bag coming up next. Sportsbit. Betting Insight today on SBR Picks. Pauly and Teddy. I'm at Real Sportsbit. He's at Teddy_covers. All the betting news you need to know in less than 20 minutes. We'll talk to you tomorrow.